In this very small town where a bunch of high school... Oh, I'm thinking of the wrong book. Okay, oops. Hello and welcome. My name is Ansu and today we're here to talk about all the books I read in the month of April. I had actually planned to read a lot more than what I ended up reading. I planned, I think, 13 books to read and I ended up reading 5. I have a good reason. Let's get into all the books that I actually did end up reading. So we'll just talk about all the books and I'll get to the reason a little later, which will be very obvious in a bit. I had a book that I really loved. It's like my all-time favorite right now. A book that I DNF'd and a mishmash of a lot of different things. So let's just get into chatting about the books that I read. The first one I want to get to is Moxie by Mathieu. I'm pretty sure this one also has a Netflix movie, so I'm really excited to actually check it out one day. We're in this very small town, and in this high school we have Vivian Carter, who's absolutely fed up by the way that boys are being treated versus the girls in the school. So the girls are butt of sexist jokes all the time, and of course everyone is really annoyed by this. Basically every single one of the girls are supposed to follow certain rules, dress a certain way, and obviously they're always commented about all of these small different things, whereas if a boy is wearing an inappropriate shirt, nobody even bats an eyelid. So that's kind of the situation where we're in, and Vivian's mom had a bunch of like flyers, zines and stuff that was basically of this feminist group. So Vivian gets inspired by this and she starts this movement called Moxie, basically for all the girls to stand up against the bullying guys in the school. There's sexual assault and an attempt at sexual assault that's mentioned in here. Also, there's a lot of sexist comments, which is just very disheartening. One thing I really liked about this book is the zines that the main character actually created. It's very adorable. They have like really cute stuff over here I think it's really adorable. I think they look really cool, and basically she distributes these zines across the school and people see it, they take action, stand for the women and all that. It is a very empowering book. It is very quick as well, so definitely it is worth a shot. I think I gave this like 4.5 stars. I really did enjoy this one. Next up I read The House in the Cerulean Sea. This was an easy 5 out of 5 stars. I don't even have to think about it for a second. I absolutely adored this book so much. Whilst reading this, I cried so much. I don't think I've cried as much for a book in a very, very long time, and it's just easily my favorite book. Like, I don't even have to think about it that much. It is one of my favorite books ever. I absolutely adore it. I don't have a physical copy of this and I'm really saddened by that, but one day I'll get it. It's such a beautiful book. So basically we have Linus Baker, who is a very lonesome man who's 40 years old and living in this really tiny house all by himself with a cat. He goes to work, comes back home, goes to work, comes back home. There's nothing new about his life. Everything is so monotonous and boring. Basically he has this job with the government in this world, and he's in charge of meeting up with magical youth and trying to figure out if this orphanage place that they're staying in is actually good enough, like if it's safe, if the people who are in control are good people. One day he's unexpectedly called by the extremely upper management people, and then he goes over there. He gets a special assignment to go to this magical island. So it is isolated. He doesn't really know much about what's going on, and once he gets there he finds out there are a bunch of different kids over there who's living over there, and there's this man who's like taking care of them. There's supposed to be 6 very dangerous children over there. Ryan's literally so scared of this little kid called Lucifer, who was also known as Lucy. So he literally sees the papers and he's like, Lucy, why is Lucy a boy? Like, that's such a weird name for a boy. And then he figures out his full name is Lucifer. He freaks out. The caretaker of these kids is called Arthur Parnassus, and basically extremely upper management wants Linus to keep a close eye on all of these people. Such a lovely story. It just makes you so warm in your heart. It's I love it. It makes me feel so good. It's I don't know what to say about it. It's such a lovely, lovely story. I cannot recommend it enough. Again, I cried so much. I loved it so much. I thought it was such an endearing book. It just shows that even though people are different, they're still human, basically. They all have feelings, and it's just... I love this book so much. I would definitely recommend it. Please read it. I loved it. The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune is by far my favorite book of my entire life. Moving on, I was finally able to read A Man Called Ove by Frederik Backman. This is my first Frederik Backman book. I have heard lovely things about the author, and I finally got to read one, and this is such a slow-paced book. So if you're not looking for something like that, it's going to be really hard for you to get through it. But here's the thing. Once you get through, like, I think 20% of the book, you really start caring about Ove so much. It's so hard not to care about him. So we have Ove, who's like nearly 60 years old, but he's such a grumpy old man. He wants everything to go accordingly to plan, like nothing can change whatsoever. We know that he was actually married, and he's talking to his wife all this time, and he finds like new neighbors who move in, and he's really mad at them all the time. He's just very grumpy, right? But along the way, you see how sweet Ove is as a person, and you actually start caring for him so much. You want the best in the world for Ove so much. It's just, you never expect it, you know? That's the thing about Ove. You just never expect to love him so much, but he's such an endearing character, and honestly, I wish the best for this character. I'll need an Ove in our life who gives us a reality check, but is also such a lovely person inside. I gave this book a 4 stars just because it was very slow for my taste. Obviously, some people really loved that. It is very character driven, which I really like as well. So I truly enjoyed it. I think it's a really good book, and I will definitely continue reading some more books from Frederik Backman. Next book I got to was The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. This one is a hard book to swallow. I'm telling you, like, there is so much brutality in this book if you're not aware of it. People don't really mention that for some reason. I've literally had people recommending this book but never mentioning the sexual assault, the rape, the pedophilia, all the gruesome attacking of people, like physically assaulting people, ripping their ear off, like stuff like that. Nobody mentions that. But you need to know that because it is too much, right? So if you are triggered by any of those things I mentioned, maybe stay away from this book. But nonetheless, it's a very good book. I gave it 4.5 stars out of 5. We have Alex Kraft, who knows how to kill someone. We know that her sister had previously died in the last year or so. Someone actually raped and killed her sister, and her body parts were essentially found in this forest area. Alex is obviously devastated by this whole situation, but not in the way that you would think. She's more angry, and she does not really talk to people, but she's also very sinister. I have another character called Jack Fisher, who is like the jock type of character, but he's also very smart. He's a valedictorian candidate, I guess. He's really smart, he's very charismatic, but at the same time he had something to do, or something that he knew of Alex's sister's death, and he's very ashamed of what happened on that day and the lack of things that he did. Third and final character we have is PK. This is not her official name. She's just the preacher's kid, and people call her PK. She's supposed to be the epitome of perfection and, you know, the nice kid, right? But she is used to drinking a lot. She drinks a lot of beer all the time, basically barely sober, and she's really in love with her ex-boyfriend. She's not getting over him for whatever reason, even though he kind of cheated on her, sort of like gave her up or whatever, but she's still whining about him this whole time. Basically, all these 3 characters kind of intertwine with each other. They have some sort of a relationship going on. Like I mentioned earlier, you don't really know what you're going in for, but there is a lot of brutal scenes in here. But I still really loved it. The issue that I kind of faced with this book was the ending. I felt like it was really abrupt, and it just didn't make me fall in love with the book entirely. I liked it. It was a good book overall, but the ending just, it was kind of lackluster to me. The things that happened in the last 50 pages were like so quick. I had to kind of read it again just to figure out like what the heck happened, because I was kind of disappointed in the way that it ended. But other than that, I truly loved the book. It was a little, you know, difficult to swallow it, but it was good. I really enjoyed the book. I will definitely recommend it, but keep the trigger warnings in mind. It's so bad. The next book I read was The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. This is a very short book, and it is basically telling you about how love can change your perspective. This is just a rendition of Love Wins All the Time, and it's just very sweet. I really did like the book. It was just really endearing. I feel like it can fit any person reading it. It doesn't matter how old you really are, but anyone can really read it and kind of get something out of it. There are little artworks in here which I thought was very cute, and some of them are basically like incomplete, with like the horse's body being incomplete and stuff, but it's very cute. I really did enjoy reading this one, and literally it takes like an hour to read it, so it's a win-win situation for me. I really liked it. I thought it was very cute. Now the final book, book number 6, and the final book I read in the month of April. Let's just say this is the reason why I didn't read any other book that much. I didn't really focus on it because I was forcing myself to finish reading this one. I'm so disappointed. I wish I'd kind of DNF'd this earlier. I would have been able to read a few more books, and I didn't DNF it on time, so I got stuck with reading this book the entire month. That was, unfortunately, Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angeles. I can hear Darian screaming at me through the screen, but I know Rachel didn't like this book either, so I'm like glad I'm not the only one. We have this girl, Kalia, who's the showgirl, and she's into the circus, and she basically escapes the stronghold of Jack, master, and he's like very enigmatic, and she basically escapes this stronghold and runs away into a competition in the city. She's never been out of Jack's mansion home thingy, and everything seems to be an illusion with him. Kalia basically ends up running and going into the city, where she finally escapes and gets into this circus type of show. Once in the show, there are a bunch of different judges, and DeMarco is one of them, who's like a retired magician who also had competed once before. And what happened is he kind of lost an assistant during one of his acts, I guess. And the same sort of thing is happening during this competition as well. People are going missing like left and right. Nobody knows where they are. There's literally no clue as to where these people have gone, and everyone is really confused. That is basically the story. I'm told that it's like a Phantom of the Opera kind of a retelling sort of thingy. I don't really know what that is, so I don't have a comparison. I have to say, like the first 50 to 100 pages of the book, I found it very intriguing. I thought it was something that I was going to really enjoy. But then I read up to 315 pages. Bro, I was so bored. I can see why people like this book. I can totally understand. But the writing is way too flowery for my liking, and I felt like nothing was happening. Kalia was this character who did not want to be loved whatsoever. She didn't trust anyone. She wouldn't tell anything to anyone. And the only character that I sort of liked was not even one of the main characters. Also, the audiobook was so annoying. I did not like that. The female narrator was just not it. I was not having a good time. But Jack's narrator, like the voice of Jack, was really good, and he had like 4 scenes in the entire book. Didn't really love it. I ended up DNFing it around the end of April, and yeah, I'm so disappointed. I wanted to love this so bad because everyone loves it so much, but I feel like it was just not for me, unfortunately. And yeah, please don't come after me. I don't know what to say. I really wanted to like it, I just didn't. I'll just leave it at that. If you have finished reading Where Dreams Descend entirely, please spoil the book for me, because I want to know what happened in the end, but I do not want to read the book. So I did give it like 2.5 stars. I did DNF it too, but I feel like I read enough to sort of give you an idea of how bad I felt about it. So yeah, alright you guys, those are 6 books I read in the month of April. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what were your favorite books in April. That is it from me. I'll see y'all next time. Until then, I'll talk to y'all in the comments. Bye!